This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 1806. Debt Can Be a Good Thing in Moderation by Paula Pant of affordanything.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Now let's get to today's post as we optimize your life. Debt Can Be a Good Thing in Moderation by Paula Pant of affordanything.com. There seem to be two prevailing attitudes when it comes to debt: the bring it on camp and the I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole camp. Here's a secret: both attitudes will make you poor. Debt, bring it on. One camp of people are nonchalant about it. 5-year car loan? No problem. After all, I can't have a car that breaks down. I rely on my car to get to work. Home mortgage? Of course. How else are you going to buy a home? Credit card balance? Well, maybe a little, but there was a sale and I need a nice suit for my job. Debt, won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. The other camp of people display a knee-jerk response to the horror stories they hear about others being buried up to their ears in debt. This camp of people proclaim to be allergic to debt. They can't imagine carrying a penny of debt and they won't entertain the idea of it. This group I call the I won't touch debt with a 10-foot pole camp. Guess which camp is financially responsible? The answer might surprise you. Neither. Consumer debt stinks. It's obvious why Team Bring It On holds a dangerous attitude about money. It's much easier to get in debt than it is to get out. But taking the opposite approach and insisting on paying cash for everything can be just as bad. Let's say you get accepted to MBA programs at 2 schools, State University and Harvard. State U will let you attend on a full scholarship. Harvard will sink you into $100,000 of debt, all of which you must borrow at a 6% interest rate. You opt to go to State U. When you graduate, you attend a job fair with your resume and meet a friendly recruiter from a pet supply company who tells you they have an opening in their finance department. What a coincidence! Your MBA is in finance. You buy a suit in cash, which you have in abundance since your tuition, housing, and food were free. Drive to the interview in the car you bought with cash and score the job. Starting salary, $80,000 with an annual 3% increase. Alternatively, let's say you opt to go to Harvard. In your advanced public policy class, you study under a professor who sits on the board of directors of a major investment bank. Your essay on Federal Reserve policy catches his eye, and he asks you to come to lunch with one of his colleagues from the bank. You attend lunch at the Four Seasons and insist on picking up the tab as a thank you gesture. Every penny of this, from your haircut to the tip you give the waiter, is on borrowed money. You graduate and the 6% interest rate starts kicking in. You haven't found a job yet and you're starting to worry. By the end of the year, that $100,000 you owe will turn into $106,000 and it'll keep compounding until you pay it back. You email your professor's colleague with whom you ate lunch and indicate interest in being involved in his company. He writes back and says he has no openings right now. Sorry, but there's an unpaid internship available. You accept the unpaid internship. You have no other options. You're beginning to regret taking out such a massive loan, sinking yourself in debt, and attending the pricier school. 2 months into the internship, you trip over a sidewalk curb, sprain your ankle, and have to go to the hospital. You bought cheap catastrophe-only insurance with a $5,000 deductible, which means you're now facing a $2,300 bill that you need to pay out of pocket. You're now convinced you made a horrible decision and you should have attended State U. You hobble back to your internship with a splint on your ankle and a sour mood, but you keep your feelings to yourself and redouble your efforts at work. You befriend some office mates and help them score a new client. You catch a glaring error on a spreadsheet before it got in front of a client and embarrassed the firm. Your superiors are impressed by your combination of skill, dedication, and a prestigious pedigree. 1 year after you started the internship, the man you ate lunch with years ago on borrowed money calls you into his office and offers you a full-time position. Starting salary, $120,000, with the potential for bonuses ranging from $1,000 to $10,000. Still not a hugely impressive figure, which means it sounds realistic. But let's break down the impact of this debt. $100,000 of your student loan, $6,000 is your first year interest, $2,300 for medical bills, $6,000 is your second year interest in full because you didn't pay back a dime during year one. $3,000 is your third year interest in part, paid back half of the loan during year two. Total debt, $117,300. Payoff is an extra $40,000 per year. This means for 3 years, the extra salary, that extra $40,000 over what the state you graduate earns, will go towards paying down your student debt. Every extra dollar earned after year 3 will be net profit. If you work for 30 years after graduating, this translates to a net profit of $1.2 million. People often believe that home mortgages are okay, but student loans should be avoided. I believe the opposite. Your house is a lousy investment, but a student loan has the potential to provide amazing returns. Sure, not all student loans will yield awesome returns. Think carefully about your major, your career, and what types of network building or connections you'll be able to make at your school. Only you know which school makes the most sense for your course of study. But don't pinch pennies or let your wallet be your guide. The right school is worth its cost. You just listened to the post titled, "Debt Can Be a Good Thing, in Moderation," by Paula Pant of affordanything.com. Let's face it, the work world looks different than it ever has. Whether you're in person, remote, or somewhere in between, taking care of your team couldn't be more important. That's where Gusto comes in. Gusto's modern HR platform makes it easy to hire, pay, manage, and support your employees, all in one system of record. That means no more jumping between applications and no more jumping through hoops. Your payroll, benefits, hiring, and onboarding, team management tools, and so much more are in one convenient place. On top of that, Gusto provides actionable insights to inform decisions around workforce costing, competitive compensation, and employee engagement. So all those tough decisions you make each day just got a whole lot easier. Our team here has been using Gusto for years and have no plans to change. The best part? Listeners of OFD get 3 months of Gusto for free at gusto.com/OFD. That's right. If you're ready to experience a new bar for HR, get 3 months free at gusto.com/OFD. While I absolutely agree that not all debt is bad, I have very mixed feelings about student loan debt. I think like anything else, it really depends. If you're going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer, you're fairly certain that you'll enjoy it and actually use your degree, and there's a very clear return on investment that can justify the debt. That makes sense to me. But looking at some of the stats around how this actually pans out for people is concerning. According to Mark Kantrowitz, who wrote the book titled "Who Graduates from College? Who doesn't?" Less than half of college students graduate on time. Even after 6 years, less than 60% of students at 4-year colleges have earned a bachelor's degree. The track record for community colleges is even worse, with less than 20% of community college students earning an associate's degree or certificate. I believe this demonstrates how many people take on student loan debt with the best of intentions, but for likely a variety of reasons, it doesn't work out as they hoped. Maybe life circumstances cause them to drop out, or they realize that their area of study just wasn't a good fit. But now they have all that debt and no degree to even attempt to secure the higher paid job they assumed would help pay off the debt. And according to an analysis of U.S. Census, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and National Center for Education Statistics data for the years 1980 to 2019 by Georgetown University researchers, college costs have increased by 169% over the past 4 decades. while earnings for workers between the ages of 22 and 27 have increased by just 19%. It makes logical sense that a degree will lead to a higher paying job to justify the cost of that degree. But many people graduate from school and are met with the harsh reality of stagnating wages. Furthermore, a Finder.com survey found that nearly 40% of people who earn a college degree have doubts it was worth it. Of this group, 40% say it's because they aren't using their degree, and 28% say it's because they can't find a job in their field. Many things we decide to do have terrible odds. Marriage has a 50% chance of divorce, and the overwhelming majority of entrepreneurs fail. It doesn't mean you shouldn't get married, start a business, or go to college. But I do think we should enter into these decisions with eyes wide open and continually question our assumptions. That will do it for today. Have a great day and start to your weekend. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back here reading to you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.